Recording in progress. Good morning, my brothers and sisters. On this episode number 195, or 190 high five, because it's the highest five you can get before episode 200, coming July 16th to a streaming platform near you.
I'm still confused by the highest five comment. That doesn't even. It's the last five until 200.
Exactly. There's no more fives after this until 200.
Just a statement of fact, I guess.
There's no five in 200.
Yeah,
190 high five.
6 until 200.
Well, now that's what I'm going to do until we get to episode 200. You've guaranteed it. Anywho, as we're already a garbage truck on fire, if you didn't know, this is the Good Morning Guys podcast. And that's right, we three are so thankful you are here, dear joiner, and the fact that you are joining us on this fine afternoon, evening, or night, or morning. We're going to keep going with it. Someone just duct tape that wheel back on as we continue discussing the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and play. I am your host tonight, one of your hosts, the scrap-grabbing Tatooiner transition Jawa, Lucas Ham Swisher. Also with me,
one more mess up, I'm out of here.
The jury, and inquisitor of fake news spoilers, and probably the only one here who would likely threaten to obliterate your whole family if you knew the location of the last Long John Silvers on Earth, Patrick Novacell.
Man, I don't think this might be episode high 95, but I'm sure that's not the only thing that is high tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
On his left and my right,
I don't even know.
The sassiest guy in the business, who would rather skip a shower and skip through the forest than wear those itchy clothes as a senator, Ronnie Johantis.
Hello, everybody.
And finally, our missing member of our GMG quadfecta tonight.
Oh, he's missing.
He's missing. He's on a milk carton.
We're still looking.
He still has like a 6-year-old picture of him.
That's right.
How do we know?
Oh, he's got a servant's heart, a standard-sized brain, and large...
A standard brain.
It sounds way worse when I say.
I think he's the only one that would get upset about that.
That's right. Ooh. The last thing is
he's got the only big brain in this podcast.
That's probably true. And he's also got a large desert creature in his old stomacho.
What?
He's the camel.
This is a bizarre start.
He's the camel font that gives Obi-Wan free rides around town. Marc, douche.
I don't understand.
It's nonsensical. You know what? It sounded better when I wrote it down.
So is he the tauntaun or the wonton?
Yeah, he's the camel font. That's what I called it. It looks like a camel. It looks like an elephant. It's camel font. Yeah, he's currently vacationing, and he's probably glad he's vacationing in Outer Banks, North Carolina right now. Because if he were here, I don't know what he would say.
Good night, everybody.
He would have left already. Woo! All right. I blame Ronnie for this because earlier we had a mess up and Ronnie just straight up abandoned us. He just clicked out. He disappeared.
You said
left Patrick and I
meeting.
in the dust. But you know what? I'm proud of you because you stuck this part out, and I don't know that we've had any rougher of an intro than this one. And I wouldn't do it with anybody else but you guys. So
And you know the
I'm really
bizarre
glad
thing
you're
is you
here.
never know when a show's going to start like this either. It just
No, you don't.
absolutely happens.
I just type some stuff out, and I'm like, this should be fine. And then I hear myself.
I don't know what any of it even meant.
And then I say it out loud. And I'm like, oh, that sounds way worse than I thought it was.
Everything's on fire behind you.
That's correct. That is correct. Woo. All right. Last week, I believe Ronnie was missing. Is that right?
Only for part of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He
Was
jumped out
Patrick-
for the Doctor Strange episode.
Oh, that's right.
Spoilers.
So you
Yeah.
were missing in the back half. So more happened to you that we missed than happened to us. So you're going to lead out what's
The
new
1
news.
hour extra.
You mean you think
That's
that
right.
hour and a half really made my day?
Dude, it could have. I don't know. You're going to tell us about it because it's
More is
time for
more.
What's New News. Tell us what's going on. I need to go I need to take a breather for a second. So go.
Yeah, so with that extra hour and a half, I probably played Rocket League afterwards, I guess. I don't know what. It definitely didn't do anything of note. However, this week, unlike normal weeks where I have nothing, I have something.
Oh,
I watched a movie this week.
yes.
I watched the new Batman this week.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, yeah.
I think I'm only like a few months behind you guys on this.
I actually watched it a few weeks ago and forgot to mention it, so we can do a mini spoiler cast right here, right now, if you want.
Just turn this whole show into one.
Why
No,
not?
it was. I actually really liked it. Honestly,
Good.
I know a lot of
Nice,
people
good.
had their, had their problems with it and stuff. I do think it was maybe just a little long. Like 3 hours was.
Just a little.
If it feels long, then that means the movie's too long. You know what I mean? Like you don't think that when you're watching Endgame necessarily, but with this movie, you did feel it at the end. Like it seemed like there was a couple places where it could have maybe ended. But actually, I really liked the whole dark emo Batman. Though I thought he did kind of a good job as Batman. However, probably the worst Bruce Wayne I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He was a terrible Bruce Wayne, I thought.
I don't disagree with you.
Luckily, it's barely a part of the movie, but no, it was really cool, really grungy. Just had a whole. First of all, they started off with Nirvana, like right at the beginning. Like, talk about hooking me into a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was Lucas. How did you feel about it? Because I don't know if I've heard.
I really went in a little skeptical because all I could see was Edward from Twilight, and I was like, I know he's had other, acting jobs, and he's been in other stuff, but nothing is quite as just in your face like a sparkly vampire. So I just was like, well, he's Batman now, so he's still kind of a vampire. Let's see what happens. And I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought, pretty much everybody played their part. It was definitely I felt like they didn't go with just like textbook. I felt like they took some risks and it paid off. And let me tell you, to me, the big surprise was not Batman, was not Gordon, was not the main villain. It was the Penguin. I still look at who that is and I'm like, that is not Colin Farrell, the actor that plays him. It's not.
I did not know that was Colin Farrell until just now. That doesn't even make sense.
They put on so much prosthetics onto
This
him.
was a huge fat man.
Yeah, it was a huge fat man, and it didn't look like him whatsoever.
An
I'm
awesome
saying that
looking
right?
penguin.
It's
though.
Colin
Like,
Farrell, right?
Yep, it is.
I always get Colin Farrell, Colin Firth, and then Will
They
Ferrell.
are way different.
They are way different.
Just say Will Ferrell.
The only way to recognize Colin Farrell would be if you knew exactly what his eyes look like, because that's like the only
That's
thing.
it. That's the only thing they left of his. Everything else was like, we're changing everything. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I do like how they had a lot of the different, like, a lot of the different bad guys, a lot of the different enemies of Batman. They were all kind of in the movie together. Some of them just didn't play like big parts here and there. Like it was kind of cool how they did that.
It was cool.
I thought at first, so when we were watching it, one of the things was the whole time, like at the beginning of the movie, you see his Batcave and you see underneath this tarp is a vehicle. So as a young kid growing up who liked Batman, you're like, all right, what does this baby look like? That's the most exciting thing about Batman is what does the Batmobile look like? And it turns out it's like a regular rally car, which is actually kind of neat. I actually, when I first saw it, like, this is a regular car. But then it was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it gave very much a feel like
there it is right there. Honestly, it looks like the Punisher car.
Yeah.
It looks like straight Punisher.
And I would say that felt like I think I liked the fact that it was a second year Batman film. I think it fit with, now all I can think of is Edward. What is the actor's
Scissorhands.
Name? Edward Scissorhands? No, what is the actor's
Norton.
name? It's not Norton.
Who?
Pattinson. Like he plays a convincing second year Batman. I feel like the Batmobile is like, I just need a muscle car. I need a good solid car that's not gonna, hit, break, and it's gonna, keep together and let me hit some stuff. It was an afterthought. It's not like, in past Batman, it's like full of gadgets and always like super crazy. And
I mean, for Christian Bale, it was just
I just need a muscle car. Yeah, yeah.
Like it was just a tank. Uh,
With
yeah,
a
I thought it was
motorcycle
really cool.
inside. So
That's true. That's true. I don't know. This Batman really just felt like he was patrolling the streets, like just with a baseball bat, beating the crap out of everybody.
yeah,
Like,
really.
just a really dark, like, I'm ready to die here tonight. Hopefully you are also.
Yeah.
But also like that scene where he's chasing the Penguin in the Batmobile and he comes like through the flames. That was pretty
Oh
awesome.
Oh, that
pretty
was a
awesome
beautiful
scene.
cinematic scene
Yeah.
right there.
Man.
For sure.
Yeah. I think that was the first time I audibly like yelled out like, yes, like
Yeah.
go.
And then Penguin's reaction is classic, where it's just like, woohoo, I got him, wait, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then he's just taken out.
I think he automatically went to I'm never getting away from this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's good
watched
stuff.
that. It was I thought it was really awesome. So
Nice.
maybe just like I said, a little bit long, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens next. Obviously they led into a, another movie.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Did they already like agree to another movie?
I'm
with
sure
him?
they're. I mean, I'm sure they're
I
going
think
to do
so.
another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say also, I do appreciate more detective work, which I think made it longer. Is part of the
I do
reason
like
it
the
was
mystery
longer.
of it though.
I do like the detective stuff, the mystery. I don't feel like they've ever in the movies given a lot of justice to the detective side of Batman. So I
Right.
appreciated that.
Yeah. I mean they made the Riddler seem like an absolute insane person also. So that was pretty cool.
It was good.
Very effectively.
Very effectively. Even at the end, like when he did that little like giggly laugh, you're like, oh man, that's pretty good. Outside of that, I really haven't done very much. Honestly, I know we went out to dinner there one time, and then I've been playing Rocket League a lot still. So
Yeah. Yep. Nice.
yeah, I'm trying to get better. I actually need a new team. I feel like Eric's not really playing very much.
Oh,
So
is he dragging you down?
we have an open roster spot currently for our threes team.
There you go. Put the shout out. All right, people, you
We're
heard
not
it.
good,
Join
but-
us.
Yeah, hit me up.
Track down Ronnie. He needs a
That's pretty
third
much it for me though.
third wheel.
What about you, Patrick? What have you done?
This past week, there's a few things. So last week, it was our 14-year wedding anniversary. So we had a good time, hung out, went to some brunch place that we've never been to before, which was really good. The wife and I saw Top Gun Maverick, and let me tell you, this is how sequels should be done.
I've heard this.
It was unbelievable. Like, so the wife and I, we saw Top Gun the night before, and then we would go to see Top Gun Maverick, and the movie starts off just like the original Top Gun. And at this point, I turned to my wife. I'm like, "Are we seeing the original? Like, is this the original? Because it does the same music, the same scenes. They're on the aircraft." And I was like, "Wow, this is awesome." And
It's like dumped you right into it.
And it feels throughout the whole movie that they do a lot of nods to the original Top Gun, and they do a lot of scenes. Some of them are very similar. Some of them are like not the same, but you know what they're trying to do because it's a callback to the original. The Tom Cruise just looks like he's, it's been 30 something years and it looks like he's aged like 5 years. And so it was the story was fantastic. It was well done, tasteful, and I guess, I mean, I can't give away any spoilers, but this movie was one of the best movies in recent memory. It's a straight up 10 out of 10. This is a movie that I would just turn on and just leave on. That's how there's
like for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean this movie was so action packed, way more action packed than the original Top Gun, which is one of the best things about the Top Gun movie. Is the dogfights and F-16s and F-14s and all that stuff, and they took it and turned it up to 11 on this one, and so I definitely recommend this movie. This is, like if you like Top Gun, you're gonna love this movie. If you love Top Gun, you're gonna love this movie. It was awesome, very awesome.
A ringing endorsement.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I've actually heard the same ringing endorsement prior
and
to
it,
tonight. So a couple of
yeah,
people that saw it, they just said it was amazing. Like they loved it.
Yep.
They were all pumped up.
and that's the same thing we heard. And when people say it's like, oh, this is one of the most amazing movies, you get there and
Yeah.
your hopes are are high. Your expectations are high. And I went in there with the same thing. When that happens, you're going to be disappointed. But they were speaking the truth. This is awesome, and
Nice.
you're not going to be disappointed in this movie.
Yeah.
Really awesome. I would say maybe more than half of the movie, Tom Cruise is in a plane or someone's in a plane and they're either fighting or training or whatever. It was loud, really, really loud.
What I really
awesome.
want to know is, was there a volleyball scene?
No, there was not a volleyball scene, but there was,
because there wasn't a volleyball scene in the first one either. That's crap volleyball. That's not even real.
there,
Fake volleyball.
but they did something
Nobody
very
plays
similar to
jeans
that.
anyways.
So it was just one of those
Ooh,
things where it's like, it was a
ping pong.
callback.
Sand ping pong.
Yeah.
All right.
Something like that. Sure.
No, I mean, I feel like I was never like a huge fan of the first Top Gun. I feel like I'm going to be lit on fire for saying that, but there just wasn't like a ton in the movie, like of substance, I guess. It was just like, back in the day, cool with jets and Tom Cruise without a shirt on a motorcycle, or whatever. But now I am going to have to watch the second one because everybody is literally raving about it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't see the first Top Gun, I mean, you have to see the first Top Gun because the second one, I mean, it's a continuation of the story. Tom Cruise is still Top Gun, so there's so many callbacks to it that, especially in the story, that it's required viewing. For you to have any sort of knowing what's going on in Top Gun 2 or Maverick. They show a lot of things. They do like video clips from the original Top Gun as people are like remembering things and things like that to keep you up to date and up to speed of it. But I still think you need to watch Top Gun, the first one.
Nice. Yeah, the wife and I are definitely going to be doing that. I saw the buzz like when it came out on Friday, and I feel like every day someone has said something about this movie, and I'm pretty surprised. I really felt like it was just, there are times when the movies feel like they're preying on our nostalgia. They're just like, you know what? You have lots of nostalgia for us to cash in, so we're going to do that. And it sounds like they didn't, like they did it, but they did it responsibly and they gave something of substance. So
doesn't Top Gun seem
excited.
like definitely the series or the sequel that would do that would like really capture our nostalgia?
Yeah, just be like, hey, you know what? We're going to take your breath away.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did they have that song in it again?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they have all the same music in this.
Highway to the. I was telling Mindy earlier.
Yep.
Highway to the Danger Zone, baby. This is actually one of the first. So back in the day, probably from I want to say from elementary school all the way to college, I had a tendency. I'm an honest kid, but I would, for whatever reason, I would borrow, quote unquote, my parents' things. And this is the first thing I remember, quote unquote, borrowing was their cassette tape. What's that?
So you were not an honest kid then?
I was, because I would give it back. If they asked me, hey, did you steal this? I'd be like, yeah. So it's not like I hid it. It's just I would take it without asking. But I borrowed their cassette, their little cassette tape, music cassette tape. Not that half of you who are listening know what that is. Hopefully you do, but and I just listened to that thing over and over again. I mean, Highway to the Danger Zone. Oh my gosh,
that's fantastic.
I just love that song. Yeah.
I actually remember that song being like my one memory from like childhood of that song was they were always playing it at like that. It wasn't Leaps and Bounds, like the Discovery Zone, maybe.
Oh,
like
yeah,
giant arcade place for kids. Like I feel like they just played Danger Zone just on repeat at that place.
I mean, why not? It's a great song.
Yeah. I mean, it got me fired up as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
So we did that, and then I played a little bit of games this weekend, but it's not any new games I played.
Okay.
But I did play some old games. I played some PS2 games. I played some PS3 games.
I bet you played them in a new way.
I did play them in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
I played them on the new Steam Deck. And my goodness, let me tell you, this
Awesome.
is the console portable PC to rule them all. This is amazing. Like it is. I'm carrying around a gaming PC with me, and there's so many things that you can do with this game. I mean, you can play Steam games, you can play all the new Steam games, but what's nice about the system is you can load pretty much anything on there, like you do with a PC. So I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and I'm like, okay, I want to get all this stuff ready so that I can have games to play when I'm on vacation, because I don't want to have to lug a PS5 or my Xbox Series X or whatever. I just want to be able to carry this. So I looked at some YouTube videos, looked at some walkthroughs, and I installed the PS2 emulator. I installed a PS3 emulator. I installed the Xbox Cloud Gaming on it. So it allows me to play all the Xbox games via the internet. I installed the PlayStation Remote Play. I installed the PlayStation Now. And it just allows me to play anything that I want to play wherever I am. And it's unbelievable. Now, I am not a PC nerd. Like, I don't know what these guys, like, I'm watching these YouTube videos, and some of these guys are talking to you like you know what they're talking about. Like, all you need to go is into the BIOS file, and then you gotta rename this, and then you just gotta extract it here, and then when you extract it, you rename it to the bin, and then you're done. And I'm like, I have no idea what any of this means.
You're like, pause.
I don't know
Google.
where to go
What
first.
is bin?
What is BIOS? Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? Like, so
What is extract?
I was like, if I saw a YouTube video and it was 3 minutes long, I was like, I know they're not going to speak my language. I was looking for 17, 30-minute long videos that they're like, okay, step by step, this is what you do. This is the link. Here it is. Click on it. Copy what's in there, copy it to this folder. And once you're doing that, then they open up the new window. They're like, okay, here, go add this game and then rename this. And then it was just like, it was so like, some of these people that are out there, making these videos allowed me to have a great experience with the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know what the heck I was doing other than just watching YouTube videos. And like when I had a PSP, like I kind of did the same thing, but it was much, much simpler to do it. All you need to do is download, add the game to the file, and that's all you need to do. There's not much more to that. But for this, because there's so many different settings in the PC, there's so many different, like, I don't know what it's called. They're like compatibility features. And there's like 15 different operating systems that you can choose from. And I'm like, I don't know which one to choose from. Let me watch a video and let me figure out what, because they're like, should you use the experimental Proton, or should you use the experimental Proton 2, or is it the Proton 6.3-GE? I'm like, what is this? So
PC Master Race, my friend.
yeah, I have no idea. This is 100% why I love just to have a console, put in a disc, and I'm ready.
Plug and play.
Like plug and play. But just the way that you can configure this in it's amazing. There's, like, for example, I was in the PlayStation Remote Play, and I remoted in to play my WWE 2K22, as it were, as usual.
As is
and
tradition.
So, yeah, exactly. So, and it was so choppy. And I'm like, what in the heck? So I looked on a YouTube video, and they showed all these different things, different settings that you can, reduce the FPS and max it out, or you can limit things and change all these settings. And so I mess with it, and the PS Remote Play runs better and smoother than I've ever played in Remote Play. And it's, my goodness. I tried PS Now. There is a very, very noticeable lag. I booted up Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was running around there, and there was a noticeable lag. So that's I think that's just PS Now. Because I have PS Now. Usually when I play a PS Now game, I download it because there's no lag. But there's a noticeable lag on the Steam Deck. Now, on the Xbox side, when I was playing the Xbox Cloud Gaming, and I played, what did I play? I played Life is Strange. I played Forza. I put in Gears of War 5, and there was literally no noticeable lag. There was just a very small, very, very small, like where you can like kind of notice it. But when you're playing like in game, I could barely even notice it.
Nice.
So that's huge when you're playing online games. So Xbox has really done it really well with their cloud gaming. But yeah, I only have one PS2 game. I downloaded 24. Played the first 2 missions. That was great. It looks way better on the Steam Deck than it does on the original PS2 because you can like up-res it and it's like some settings that you can because I think it was like 30 frames per second on PS2, maybe even less. And I'm running it on 60 FPS right now, which is buttery smooth.
Nice.
Which you can definitely tell it. I mean, like when it's 60 frames per second and I have it up-resed, you can tell that it's an old game because it's very, very blocky. But yeah, this Steam Deck is awesome. So awesome. I don't think I remember. I mean, like I'm sitting here in front of my PS5 and I'm playing it on my Steam Deck. Like that's how much like I want to play it on the Steam Deck because it's so easy just to walk around. I was in the living room tonight and my son was watching or playing Forager on Xbox, and I was right beside him playing PlayStation 5 on this. Like it was so awesome. The only thing is it's a little heavy. It is noticeably heavy. So I've been playing it for the past week, and my buddy Justin wanted to play Apex. So I picked up a PS5 controller for the first time in like 5 days, and it felt so small. It's kind of like when you're lifting, you're working out, and you got like 50-pound weights or whatever you're doing, and then you go to pick up a 10-pound weight. You're like, oh, this is nothing. That's the way it felt like when I was picking up the PS5 controller.
Like when you put those donuts on the baseball bat.
Yes, that's exactly the way it felt. As soon as you take the donuts off, and you feel how light the bat is, that's what it was with the PS5. Like I felt like because it's not a natural, like with big hands, it's great. So Ronnie, if you were to have the Steam Deck, it's great for big hands. For small hands, it's pretty hard because the thumbsticks are at the top of the machine. They're not in the middle, or down or off center. They're both at the top. So it makes you kind of hold it up a little higher. But that's the only gripe, I guess. Not really. So it's not like I'm gonna like you cannot like lay on your bed and have the Steam Deck above you and play. Because if that
break your nose,
that thing falls on you, it's gonna break your face.
Yeah. People be like, "You get in a fight?" No, I was playing video games and I dropped it on my face.
Yeah.
Dropped all my video games on my face.
I feel like I don't know how heavy it is, but it feels like 2 pounds. Like it feels heavy.
You better man up.
But yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I mean, early rating on this, it is a 9 out of 10 machine.
All right.
Next time we see him, he's gonna have forearms like Popeye.
Yeah.
Massive forearms.
I might have carpal tunnel as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it for me.
Right.
Lucas,
Hi.
how was your week, man?
It was pretty good. It was not a standard week. Of course, in some ways it was. I played my good old fashioned roguelite faves. I did complete Celeste and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So I am pumped to spoil and praise these games and upcoming spoiler casts in the coming weeks. I will say that since I beat Rift Apart, but the game for the month was technically Ratchet and Clank, I did feel a little bad not giving any kind of love to the OG. So I actually went back and started working on challenge mode because I kind of want to get the old platinum.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get the platinum for Rift Apart. But I wanted to check out Ratchet and Clank, the OG, just from a few years ago.
Yeah,
And
2016 or something like that.
And it feels like it's 10 years older. Like
Oh no.
it doesn't look near as nice as I remember. I played Rift Apart, so I had all the bells and whistles, PS5 only game, everything. And then I go back to this PS4 game that it's like it's nice. It looks nice. And I know when we played it, we were like, this looks like a Pixar movie. And now it's like, maybe Toy Story 1, maybe Toy Story 2. Whereas Rift Apart looks like Toy Story 4 or maybe 5 if they ever do that. Like it looks so good. And then I go back to this and like I can't dodge. I can't what is some other stuff? I couldn't sprint. I'm like holding forward and I'm like, okay, where's the sprint button? I'm running like I'm like walking to the other side of the map.
That's like a number one thing that you have to have in games like this is a sprint button or run button.
You would think. And in Rift Apart, they gave you those rocket boots and it was awesome.
Oh,
spoiler for the spoiler cast. I use those rocket boots 24/7. Little ice skating thing going on, I was like, wow, so cool. Yeah. And then I go back to this old one and I'm like, where are my rocket boots?
What are you, 400 pounds? Come on. Let's shed some weight
like,
here. Let's go.
Just, trotting along. And I'm like, golly. But it's still a stellar game. And I'm enjoying it. It's not that long of a game. So I'm flying through it pretty well. And I just have a few more trophies yet left, a few more guns to level up. And I just have to make everybody in this playthrough dance. That's the trophy, the only trophy I'm nervous about. And there's no way to track it. You have to make everybody dance based off of one of your guns called the Groovatron. And you just have to make every enemy in the game dance.
Like every single person you come across?
Every single enemy you come across. So I'm like constantly throwing, it's a disco ball. And so you throw it out and instead of the enemies like attacking you, they all start doing different dance moves. And it's pretty funny because every enemy has its own like dance move, whether it's the floss, the hammer time dance or whatever. Like they do all kinds of funny dances and it's pretty funny. And it makes it easy just to, just shoot everybody and take out your enemies. But so I'm working on that little by little. I did give the Vita some love. You're not the only one who has a handheld that got some love this week. I got out my old Vita, old faithful, and played that over the weekend because I did a little traveling. And I played what I would probably call the spiritual predecessor to Broforce. I don't know if you guys have played a little old classic arcade gem. To me, I think it was on an old system back in the day called Metal Slug.
Oh, Metal Slug, yes.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that. I thought you were going to say Contra.
Oh no, Contra I knew everybody had heard of. This one's a little bit after, and it's got more cartoon animation, but it's like cartoon violent like animation. Like it's very Broforce, but with pretty decent animation. And it's just a fun game because it is just like bullets everywhere, dudes dying everywhere. Like it's a type of game, Ronnie, where you automatically do melee. You don't have to switch between guns and melee. You shoot guns up until you get next to them, and then you knife everybody around you. Like
nice.
It's a samurai sword. And so I played through that. There's like 7 missions, and I played it on easy. And since it's based on an arcade game, oh, go ahead. What's up?
Which Metal Slug was it? Was it?
Oh,
was
yeah,
it
there's
XX?
like 1,000 of them. It was XX.
Yeah, XX is I think the one that I played on Vita. It might have been free, but was awesome.
I think it was. But it's so fun. Yeah. And it's great because since it's based off an arcade game, there's no limits. It's just like continue. Well, yeah, I'm going to continue. So then I just kept going and beat it. And so it was good. It was good times.
Nice.
So I enjoyed that. As for my travels, I took a little trip up north and it did not disappoint. Okay. If I'm being honest, it actually did disappoint a little bit, but it was my own fault.
Because for a good story though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a little, so buckle up. I'm going to give you a little story. Grandpa's going to share a little story with you. It all started a few weeks ago when I was searching for the cheapest plane tickets I could find. And I was searching and the prices were nasty. Like they were much higher than I thought. When I had gone on a trip up north to the Northeast in April, it had cost, so much. And everything that I was looking at was like 1,000 above that. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm going to keep searching. I asked a few people, asked around, And all of a sudden I found a ticket for half price. I was like, I got to jump on this. It was like half, if not a third the price. And I'm like, I don't care if it's too good to be true. I'm going to make this work. So I clicked on it, and all of a sudden, all these like stipulation warnings popped up. It's like, hey, just so you know, you're paying this cheap price, but one, you can't even bring carry-on. You can bring a personal bag.
It costs you $5 to wear a shirt.
yeah. You got to pay for each clothing you wear.
There's in-app purchases on this.
So it's like you can only use a personal bag, no carry-on, no undercarriage for sure. Because what this was a it's a flight where it was going to a final destination different than where I wanted to go, but the layover was my destination. So it was kind of like they're gonna go down to a slow roll and just drop me off, and I just jump off,
duck and roll,
duck and roll
like
out
you
the
can
side.
hitch a ride on this.
Yeah.
Plane.
So I'm like, well, I remember that being a thing in the US. I was like, I've never done that in Brazil, but hey, it's worth a shot for this cheap price. So I clicked it, bought it, went with it, and everything was normal. Like I was getting updates, and I was, registering and stuff and giving my documentation information. And then the day of, I go to the airport. I have to get an Uber to the bus station. Then I need to get a bus to the airport. And then I get to the airport and I go to, check in, and they're like, we've never seen this code before. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, it says your final destination is this city, but your paper says it's this city. I'm like, yeah, that's the city I'm going to, because it's like a halfway point. And they're like, yeah, you can't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that? They're like, you know what? We're going to
now.
Yeah. They're like, we're going to send you to the manager. So I go to the manager, and by the grace of God is all I can say, is they were like, you know what? You're not really supposed to do this. Next time you need to buy it through us, not this third party. And I'm like, well, if you'd sell it cheaper, I would do that, but you're not selling at fair price. But I didn't say that. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've never purchased through this company before, which is true. I'd never purchased through them. And so I was like, so what's going to happen on the way back? They're like, well, that's up to the airport. I'm like, great. So I'm going to have to go through this again. So I get to the other side. I reach my city. And before I get to, the continuation of this leg of the journey, I get to my city, and it's like 7:30. The place I need to get to is like 40 minutes away. And I'm in an Uber area. It's like designated Uber. And a guy walks up to me. He's like, hey, where are you going? And I'm like, well, this is the address. He's like, whew, that's pretty far. He's like, I'll do it for 100. And I look on the app. I'm like, the app says 50. And he's like, well, it's far away. I'm like, well, the app says 50. And he's like, okay. And so he walks away. I use the app. The guy comes, takes me. It's supposed to take 36 minutes to get there. An hour and 27 minutes later, we are lost.
No.
No.
So I find out after the fact that this happened to multiple people going to this conference. This was a church conference that I was going to, and they had all had the same thing happen. And I'm like, we couldn't have warned people in the chat, like our, little group chat, say, hey, by the way, this address is bogus. So
they're gonna be like, they're sitting back there like,
I got you too.
Let's see how this plays out.
I mean, I'm thankful for the Uber driver I had, because he was a really honest guy, really nice guy. I kept apologizing, saying, I'm really sorry. Like, this is the only address I had. And we were driving down this, and this is like at 8 o'clock at night, but a dirt road, no lights. There's a few it's like
this is
this is
lights
how
and no
horror
street
movies
lights. The
start.
car had lights.
No
okay?
street. Yeah, the car had lights. It wasn't that sketchy of an Uber
You have
driver.
a flashlight out there, like, where are we?
He's like turned on the flashlight to his cell phone. He's like,
Where's my lighter? Where's my lighter?
Yeah, no, but we drove around, and he's like, should I keep going down this road? I'm like, I don't know. There was bad service. There was like everything was going against us, and I was just like, this is not going to end well.
This is like before an alien abduction.
You know what? If you would have paid that $100 to the other guy, he might have taken you right to that.
He might have, or he might have just dropped me off, because his would have been like an under the table.
This
guy that had me was at least accountable to Uber. Like, he couldn't just say, well, I'm done with you. I'm just dropping you off here on the side of the road. But he stuck with it. And finally I was able to reach one of the people at the conference. They sent me like a location that we could just put into
Like latitude
Google
and
Maps.
longitude.
Yeah, like real location. Like this is it. This is where we are. And so we finally got there. And
Why didn't they do that in the beginning when they knew this thing would happen?
That like you said, they wanted to mess with everybody in the group apparently. So
evil. Where'd you go?
mean. You're supposed to be church leaders and you're doing that to people. So, but I finally made it, and it was a great visit. Got to hang out and reconnect with a bunch of people in our denomination in the church all across Brazil. This was a national conference. There were a couple hundred people there. I got to share a little bit, got to talk a little bit, but most of all, just got to have great fellowship with people and just kind of plan for the future and like set up some future ministry projects and future connections, speaking engagements, etc. So it was really great and really refreshing. And then coming back again, they were like, "You're not supposed to have this kind of ticket." And I'm like, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. That's just, it's really fun to just, I knew what was going on, but honestly, I didn't know what I was getting into, and I could just keep playing dumb and not feel bad about it. I'm just like, I'm just a foreigner. What do I know? So I just went with it, and thankfully they were merciful yet again, and they sent me home. So
was the
I made it
alternative
home.
just like you wouldn't be able to use that ticket and just have to like find another way home?
They would charge me, like I'd have to pay like a full price ticket, or they said I'd either have to buy a new ticket or they would like delay me like a day or two or find something that's comparable to the price. Actually, on the way back, the lady that was taking care of me, she was like, "Well, I could send you through this city and then this city and then your destination." And I'm like, "Good gracious, lady, it's your guys' gasoline. Like your plain diesel. You're just wasting it on me when I paid like."
You got a week of layovers.
So we got a messenger bike over here you can ride on the back of. They got pegs, so you'll be outstanding.
Yeah, you'll get there eventually.
You look like you got strong legs, son.
Yeah. So it was definitely a new experience. Speaking of new, we got a new show to talk about, do we not? I think.
Do we?
We do.
We do.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's right, folks. We are talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, episodes 1 and 2, fresh on Disney Plus this past week. In fact, we're talking about episodes 1 and 2, and tomorrow comes out episode number 3. So it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. All right, for the third week in a row, we are talking about a Disney property, this time transitioning away from Marvel. We're going to go into the well-known space opera of Star Wars, the next installment in the Star Wars universe with Obi-Wan. It just hit digital shelves. And before we get into spoiler territory, of course, or the nitty-gritty of the good, bad, and perhaps the ugly of the show, let's give our thoughts and rating for those who perhaps have not seen it yet, just stumbled upon our podcast and for some reason don't know how to press stop, and they're just like, "No, what do I do? They're going to say a spoiler. Oh, what happens with Anakin?" That's like my panicked spoiler voice. That's what I do when I don't want to hear a spoiler. It's panic. So guys, spoiler-free review. Let's just go in the same order we shared our What's Up News stuff. Ronnie, what are your spoiler-free thoughts and rating of Obi-Wan?
Spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah, do your best.
So I really like the show. As far as ratings go, I would give it an 8 out of 10 so far. And my favorite thing about the show is seeing all of those characters that we've seen throughout the years. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, he has like fallen into like Star Wars lore for a period of time, and now it's like the legend has come back.
Yeah.
So that part is just awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff. Patrick.
This is 8 out of 10 so far. Only because it's only been 2 episodes. So definitely there are some things in the show that are inconsistent and weird, but
we're going to talk about it.
I tell you what, this is when the show starts and they do felt like 4 minutes of prequel recap, and like we've everyone's been talking about the prequels. It's either you love them or you hate them. More people hate them than anything else. It's the bottom of the barrel of the trilogies.
Yeah.
But they do that 4-minute intro, a recap of the first 3 movies, and it gets me hyped. Like,
Dude.
super hyped. I'm like, man, were these better than I thought they were? Because I watched them recently, but I'm like, man, I feel like I need to watch them again.
I got emotional watching that first 4 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, I never even liked the prequels that much.
It was solid. Ronnie, you're
Muted.
So one of the reviews I saw was that they added, basically they turned all those scenes into like such a cinematic like build up. But the scenes themselves necessarily throughout those movies are not as like dramatic and as crazy as they made them seem in that 4-minute spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it was
everything
professional
that was
cutting,
great about
like
it.
editing.
Yeah.
It was professional editing.
It was
so
awesome.
good.
So if that like little montage got me hyped for the show more than I was already hyped for the show, because this is in the world of Darth Vader. This is right after episode 3, or what, 10 years after episode 3, something like that.
10 years.
Yeah. Hey, now.
So I'm like, yes, this is the, we're not gonna have Luke, we're not gonna have these other guys. This is to me thinking this is gonna be the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, but we'll get into spoilers here, but it's just like the more the anticipation of what's going to happen in the show is I'm more excited for that than anything else. But it was solid first 2 episodes, 8 out of 10.
Nice. All right. Before I give my spoiler-free review and rating, Mark, why don't you go ahead? And this is where we would do a voicemail, but instead I'm going to read it because...
Why'd you introduce him like that?
I don't know. Dang it. I might not have thought it through, okay? I just started talking and words came out. So before I go ahead, I'm going to read Mark's review.
Yeah.
Okay? That's how it works. All right. I have nothing but good things to say about these first 2 episodes. I am so glad to be back in this world. I am so glad to be revisiting a lot of these characters from the prequels, as well as the original trilogy, also being introduced to new ones and characters from the expanded universe, from, like cartoons and things that like the Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitors in general. It's just fantastic to be back in this world. And that's like his spoiler-free portion. He is going to pepper in some thoughts as well as through me, his proxy, because he passed on some information to me. Okay. But based on what he reviewed, I'm going to say his rating is a 10 out of 10. So 10 out of 10 camel fonts, of course. So
okay. Yeah,
as is, fitting. Me, on the other hand, I thought this show just started with a bang. It hit me from the get-go. It made me feel so much nostalgia, like you said, Ronnie, like seeing Ewan McGregor, seeing Obi-Wan again back, like it's so good. And I feel like for the most part, he didn't disappoint. Like he was really solid. He definitely felt like the kind of Obi-Wan that we would get, like Patrick said, 10 years later. I will say that not everything hit with me. It didn't exactly draw me in. Like through the course of the 2 episodes, I wasn't as drawn in as I thought I would be, and like really engaged as effectively as I thought it would. I think it's an intriguing storyline, some good, I wouldn't call them twists, but developments that they didn't give away in the trailers, and a solid cast. There are definitely times when the story logic is a little weird, like you said, Patrick. Like I totally echo. We'll discuss some of those. But overall, I pretty much have the same kind of overall feeling. I would say I might be closer to a 7.5. So I'm going to say a 7.8. I do definitely recognize I was kind of like between a 7.5 and an 8. And I was like, you know what? This is 7.8.
That's good.
It's overall, it's solid. It's just, there's just some things that, you can call it nitpicky. You can call it, let's just enjoy things. Well, there's just some stuff we're going to talk about.
I
that
mean,
I'm
you
like,
enjoyed it, so there's
no, I totally
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And a 7.8 is a fine start. It's, I think, more than anything, like when you start with the mountain of nostalgia and that recap at the beginning, man, like I said, like I was getting emotional and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I cared about the prequels that much. But
Yeah.
apparently I do. And with that, let's just jump right into spoiler territory, episode 1, entitled Part 1. I think in looking things up that pretty much every episode is part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5,
Yeah.
part 6, which I think is a little weird just because they've usually, like with Mandalorian and Boba Fett, they give names to it that kind of gives like almost like a chapter name to it or something. But no, it's just part 1 through 6. So
I tell you what, when the
what
Obi-Wan
it is.
Kenobi, title comes up and the music is playing,
Oh yeah.
was it me or did this not sound like the Spider-Man video games music?
Okay. I didn't think of that, but
Okay,
I can.
all right,
now
listen
I
to it
go
again,
back.
and
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
listen to it again
"Ooh,
with that
am I
mindset.
playing a Spider-Man Miles Morales game?"
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like to me. And that, from that beginning, because the Disney Plus TV shows, when they make their intro music, it is so good. Like
Yeah.
Mandalorian is so good.
So good.
Boba Fett was
Fett.
not as good as Mandalorian, but it was still good.
But it was so singable though. Like it gets stuck in your head, like Boba.
Yeah. And this
Boba
was
Fett.
another thing.
Like
I'm like,
that
ooh,
whole thing, yeah.
this is feels like it's more Marvel than it is Star Wars.
Yeah, I could see that. It definitely felt like that. I think, we talked about the prequel opening with the little edit there. I think this was like a 2-hit punch beginning because we jump right into not actually Obi-Wan. We jump right into Order 66 being initiated in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I feel morbid saying this, but I get jazzed every time they show me a new perspective and a new like angle of Order 66 being enacted.
Yeah.
Pulled off.
It kind of lets you in though to show you how horrible like Order 66
Oh, for
actually
sure.
was. Like, and
Yeah.
you didn't really get that look before.
No,
You just kind of know that a lot of those things happen, but it showed like
you
in
got
the temple and
you got the worst with Anakin killing the younglings, but at the same time, I can't see the full expanse of it.
I can't look at Order 66 the same because I most recently played Star Wars, the Lego Star Wars, and he's like, execute Order 67, and it's like you want everyone to do a dance off or something stupid like that. He's like, oh
Right.
yeah, execute Order 66. I can't look at it the same way.
That's hilarious. I can't wait to play through that. I haven't gotten to that part yet in the Skywalker saga, but that's hilarious. Yeah, so we're at the Jedi Temple. Order 66 has been enacted. A Jedi teacher is training some, it seems like a mix of younglings and teenagerlings. I didn't seem like a complete, I was afraid for a split second. I was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to show like Anakin lighting up some kids or something, are they? But then thankfully they didn't. And, you pretty much recognize the Jedi trainer. She sacrificed her life for the kids and they presumably got away. And since we're in spoiler territory, I'm just going to say right now that I think Reva is someone from that group. Like, I'm just going to jump into that because we're introduced to the Inquisitors not long after this. We're introduced to the Grand Inquisitor, who's from Star Wars Rebels. Maybe Ronnie, I think, who watched it, recognizes him. And then there's also the fifth brother who's from Rebels. And then the third sister, who's Reva, whatever her name is.
Reva,
and she's new. Reva's new to the Inquisitor realm and is for this show. But I have a feeling that she is one of those younglings that they trained. That was with
I didn't know. I never watched the Clone Wars. I never watched Rebels. Never watched any of those things. When I saw that the Inquisitors were on there, it reminded me of Jedi Fallen Order. That's where my mind was going.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so when I see their lightsabers and things like that, and then I see the Grand Inquisitor and the Jedi Fallen Order teaser. The second one, or Jedi Survivor, just came out, and there with the Grand Inquisitor was on there. I was like, I don't know who that is. And then when he showed up in this series, I did the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing, like, hey, that's him.
I know him. Yeah. So and that's how they continue after they do the flashback to Order 66. Then they take us to some Inquisitors who are interrogating people, trying to find Jedi.
Mhm.
I don't think at this point they tell us they're on Tatooine, but you kind of just assume
It's always Tatooine.
always Tatooine.
It's always.
which I will say, Tatooine's getting a little old, isn't it?
It is
Like,
the
it's just
center
like-
of the galaxy,
What
apparently.
a piece of crap of a planet, though. Goodness gracious. It's
It
just
is.
sandy and dry. Everybody's poor.
I
It's
hate
like the worst
sand.
planet ever.
He gets in your clothes and yeah.
I mean,
crunching in your
what
teeth.
are these? Everyone's like, they're on Tatooine. Who cares? Just
You should have done
let
this
them
on
be.
like
Let them be.
Endor. Where
Yeah,
it's
they
lush
totally
greenery.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sort of.
Obi-Wan should have been protecting Chewie on
Chewie
Kashyyyk
doesn't
or
need
something.
protection.
That's true, he doesn't. But just so he could be, just take it easy, get a little hammock in the trees. Instead, he's on this nasty desert planet. But anyways, we're not getting to him yet. The Inquisitors are looking for a Jedi. They go to the local water cooler, and pretty much as they have a little speech, and the Grand Inquisitor's trying to intimidate everyone, and Reva tosses a knife at someone using the Force, and it's blocked. And then you're like, ooh, who is it? And it's none other than our favorite Jedi, Nari. You
What?
know, right?
Where's Nari from?
No idea. He's a totally new character. He's not even.
I was wondering the way you said it. I was like, well, he must
It's
have
not.
been
It wasn't Kumail, which we'll get to. Kumail.
Yeah, we'll get to Gumel for sure. Yeah, no, Nari's a new character. He was just and I wouldn't be. They didn't give very much background on him. He's a Force sensitive. Seemed to be like someone who was trained but hadn't been trained in a long time. And because of Reva's actions and Reva's actions and the Grand Poupon guy not liking what she did, that gives a chance for this Jedi young man to run away. And then from there we go to Obi-Wan.
I was confused
And-
why he just ran out and they just really didn't even pursue him or anything. Like
They were just like,
He pulled down like a little tarp, and they're like,
like
"Oh
two
no, we can't
blinds.
get past this tarp."
Yeah,
Oh,
my
no.
God.
no, let's just say it right
Trapped
now.
him.
We're gonna get to it, but chase scenes in these two episodes
so
were
bad.
not the best.
So
They were a little subpar, and it did
Some
start with
confusing-
this tarp.
There was a couple of confusing things. One of them
Yes, well,
involves a
the-
chase scene.
Why are you running
true.
after him? It's only a tarp, and it only covered half the
It's like,
entrance.
I'm allergic to tarps. I can't go near that.
And he just like pulled down the tarp. Like
Yeah,
that's
then
the
he
only
gets
thing you
away.
brought down. What the heck?
I was like, oh, what a daring escape. No wonder they haven't caught him.
We can't shoot lasers through these tarps.
I'm the tarp bandit. I use tarps to smoke, and it's not smoke and
Does
mirrors.
nobody
It's
force
tarps.
choke anymore? Like,
He's
you
a
don't even have to
magician.
follow.
Where'd he go?
All I see is tarps. Yeah, so Tarp Jedi runs away, and and I guess the excuse would be that they were a little distracted, because you find out in this moment that Reva is very much like after Obi-Wan for whatever reason.
She's amazing. Like, and throughout
She's
the first couple
she is
episodes,
awesome.
like
She has
she's
intimidating presence. For
oh,
sure.
she does. I love the love her, the way she interacts with the rest of the Inquisitors, and she's like, no, and it feels like she's smarter than everyone else.
Yeah.
And she's also ruthless, and it's I like her. I like her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is definitely.
Yeah, she's a good, definitely a good, strong, like not a standard villain. Like the Grand
Yeah.
Inquisitor, I remember him from Rebels being a little more interesting. But in this, he feels like in these two episodes, he feels like just like I'm in charge and you're gonna do what I say, and yeah, whatever you said, we're gonna do. Like he's like has
That's
no
pretty much
original thoughts
Yeah,
whatsoever.
That's a nutshell.
Yeah. So so from there we go to Obi-Wan, and we find him at a meat factory, quote unquote.
Just cutting
And-
some raw, gross desert fish.
Ooh, raw meat cubes. Just cut
Yeah,
them
just
up.
putting a little piece in his pocket, and you're like, are you gonna have that as a snack later? Like
in this scene, like I'm watching it, and I noticed the guy that's to the left of Obi-Wan, and he's sitting there with his knife, and he's just not doing anything. And I'm like,
oh really?
yeah. I was like, what? What is this like?
I was like,
he's
we said cut, right? We're
I'm-
not filming, right?
I'm old and I'm slow. Like,
yeah.
I was like,
lining
for
this
for
one
like
up.
7-10 straight seconds, he's like, just still. Like, what?
This meat's
Make sure
really
it's the
tough.
perfect cut.
Yeah, he's like really like close to it.
After that scene, like, that was a good scene, but you're fired.
Yeah, pretty much.
We'll leave it in, but get out of here.
Yeah.
We'll find another poor-looking guy.
So he's working for a meat factory. He's keeping an eye on Luke. It's kind of given the day and the average day in Obi-Wan's life, keeping an eye on Luke, and he takes him. I thought this was a cute little moment where he goes to their house at night and he's like their own personal Santa Claus, and leaves a little toy for Luke. And then the next day, Uncle Owen's there to be like, "Don't give us any handouts, sucker. Get out of here." And Owens, is
there was
Owen.
there was a TikTok going around where it said like when Obi-Wan says to Uncle Owen, he's like, well, it's like when the boy's of age, he must be trained. And he turns and he's like, just like you trained Darth Vader. And that guy's like, emotional damage.
Yeah, man. I mean, we knew it was coming because it was in the trailer, but it still is just like, oof.
The burn.
Well, you
It burns.
don't skip past the scene where he's talking to the Jawa. Like that
Oh,
was
sorry,
a
yes.
hilarious
You're
scene.
so right.
He's
I
like,
did.
yeah, my flux capacitor is broken. He's like, oh, I got a piece for that. And he's like, you kidding me? Like, you stole that. You're trying to sell it back to me.
You couldn't
He's like,
even
"At least
clean
clean
it.
off
And he's
my
like, yeah, that's extra to clean it.
He just straightens him and admits it.
Dude, you're right. Sorry, I did not mean to skip over that. That Jawa
That was
conversation was hilarious.
That was
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
And it had very much like that was the first moment where it's like, okay, Obi-Wan, like Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is still Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's when you first see him kind of come out a little bit. He's not
Yeah.
like this broken, silent
yeah,
person. Like
not
when
quite.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And that was definitely a fun light moment. And then the next day he talks to Owen. And then of course the Inquisitors show up and are interrogating people, threaten to obliterate Owen's family. And, you think at some point, is Obi-Wan going to step in? What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that brings you also to a point where they're showing throughout the whole episode so far that the only way a Jedi basically can stay alive and stay hidden is to not be a Jedi. They have all these like moral battles that they can't fight anymore. They basically just have to, like, he just has to come, like, be silent and do nothing. I don't know if at this point once he like gets to the end of the day at the little meat cube plant, if like the guy cuts it like by half or whatever, he's like, I have a family to feed. Then he like punches the worker. And like at that point, as a Jedi, he should be, fighting for the right thing, and he can't. So
Right,
there's
he-
like a kind of an internal struggle with him, like that I feel like they're kind of building up.
And he has to do that because he has to shut himself off from the Force, otherwise he'll be found. So that's why he can't, because if he does any sort of Force moves, they'll sense it and they'll find him. So he has to stay, like the guy in the shadows. And so people just like, oh, he's just in the background. He's just a normal guy. And if they knew, he'd be done.
yeah, the setup for that struggle is done really well. And yeah, Ewan McGregor's acting, his work, his character development is all just stellar and really good. And it really gives the dire nature of like his position of guarding over Luke. Luke is the hope, but it's like you said, Ronnie, like he's the hope, but at the expense of everybody else. Like he can't help anyone. He can't do anything. And, you get to see some more of that struggle once he's approached by Nari, the Jedi Force sensitive guy who got attacked in the bar. He's like, hey, I found you, you're Obi-Wan and we need to fight. We need to do this and that. I got your, where he got the lightsabers. I have no idea. The whole lightsaber trail was a little weird. I was like, well, you got them. And Obi-Wan's like, you need to bury those. I don't want those. And
That was a rough scene because he he showed you that like, hey, I can't help you. I'm not that person.
Nope. I got nothing. And so the guy leaves, apparently buries him, and the next day he's dead and hanging from the rafters. And it's
I was trying to
pretty,
figure out if he was still
dire.
alive, by the way.
Yeah, he didn't move at all. And
But he
thankfully,
wasn't really hung, just like
they didn't do an old-fashioned hanging, which I was thankful for.
Yeah,
Like,
me too. Me too.
they showed a lot of it, and my kids were just sitting there. I'm like, they kept zooming up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are they gonna have that?
Like was he gonna have a blade
hanging around
through
his
him or
neck?
something?
Yeah. So yeah. So it was pretty dire. And then we transitioned to a new planet, which is kind of new because we've rarely seen this planet. The first time we ever saw this planet, it was space dust. Old Alderaan is where we went. So we are on Alderaan now, which I thought was. Did they allude to this in any of the trailers, Patrick? Do you remember?
I didn't watch any of the trailers.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't watch them enough to remember. So,
Yeah.
and I just don't think I feel like they only showed Obi-Wan and they only showed the Inquisitors in the trailers. So this was a nice surprise. We're on Alderaan. We're clearly with, old Senator Bail Organa, with the OG actor Jimmy Smith and his wife, and then a little it's supposed to be a 10-year-old girl, but it's clearly younger than that.
No way. I'm like this entire like
7,
I have
Smartest kid I've ever heard.
I have a 7-year-old and I'm like, my 7-year-old son is bigger than this girl. It's like
yeah.
There's no way.
I was
There's no
thinking
way.
6,
especially the way she
runs.
runs. She's still learning to run.
She runs like a 6-year-old for sure, if not a 5-year-old. I was like, what in the world?
As a 10-year-old, she would have gotten away.
For a 10-year-old, she would have been convincing that she was actually running away. Like she just
she runs so like swiftly that she's outrunning like full-grown men.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
there's one point I might be getting ahead of your story here.
It's fine. We're talking about little girl
when
Leia.
she runs and she runs into the woods and she's like all of a sudden like she's maybe 5 feet in front of someone and then you do a different like angle and she's like 20 feet ahead. And like, how did she get 20 feet ahead already? And then she like slides under a branch and the guy like runs into the branch like, oh, I can't get past this branch. I'm like, what the heck is happening?
It's a branch made of tarp. I can't escape this tarp.
It's a tarp branch.
The tarp's back.
It's
People
my
don't have the same
kryptonite.
capabilities in this show.
No, they don't. But what's funny is
Like, she
right
really gonna
before-
get away? There's no way she's gonna get away.
right before that moment when she runs up to Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Needles.
when she runs up to him, it's clear that she should be able to see him, but then she doesn't see him till like she's, like you said, 5 feet in front,
Facing
and she's
him.
like,
yeah, right in front of him.
and it's like, girl, were you like
Where are
looking
your
at your
glasses?
feet only? Yeah, get your glasses on. I was like, okay, even Mindy looked at me. She's like, how did she not see him? And like, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, she's clearly
She's
a 3-year-old
5 years old.
kid.
Yeah. She's 3
5-year-old
now.
kid. What are they? Yeah. She just learned to walk a week ago. So yeah. But yeah, so she, prior to her getting kidnapped, we're already talking about the kidnapping, because the kidnapping is pretty comical. Like, it's like 3 people can't catch this 5-year-old kid.
I know. What the heck?
Now they had the worst time.
they were. I could just see the director be like, okay, I need you to pretend like it's hard to catch her. Okay. And they're like, okay, we'll try. And they took one take and they're like, that's good. Let's go. Wrap it up.
Good enough.
The guy who ran into the branch and stopped was the same guy that was cutting the meat, and he was also fired.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
We'll
But
take
yeah,
it.
prior to this terrible chase scene, I thought there was some good development of Leia as a little girl.
Oh yeah,
I think the personality of this girl fit exactly like a New Hope Leia.
spot
Like,
on.
Yeah, they nailed
snarky, smart. You can tell she's like intuitive, rebellious, but also intuitive, like
Smart.
really using the Force to look into people, almost reading their minds, which is something that they don't hit in the original trilogy. But when you watch it, you could tell how keen and smart she is.
Well, she like burns up her older cousin in that one conversation.
Oh man, she burns
Lights him up.
And he's just like, oh, well,
He doesn't-
your mom goes to college.
I know you are, but what am I?
You don't say that.
Yeah, it was a really funny moment, and like her just her little sneakiness and with her little droid and running the forest, that was all really good, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And then you get to the the kidnapping scene, and it's setting you up for the reason, the MacGuffin of why Obi-Wan is going to be going off planet while he's going to kind of break his commitment, and he's got to help
He's
the
like,
other
Leia's
Skywalker.
captured. No, I got to watch Luke while he's on Tatooine
Yeah, playing
making sandcastles. Like,
yeah, that's true. Zoom ahead to then, yes, Bail Organa asking Obi-Wan, and he's like, "No, I got this kid to watch." I'm like, he's playing in the backyard, like making zoomy sounds sitting on his house.
Yeah, so we didn't actually talk about that, but that scene was actually really cool, I thought.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
he
cool.
was
No, it
watching from a
was.
distance earlier on, and he's like up there like he's on a fighter pilot, like, or a fighter plane. Like, that was just really cool.
Yeah, sneaking away and just keeping an eye on him. And yeah, you get a little glimpse into young Luke just really wanting to be a fighter pilot. But yeah, then fast forward to, Obi-Wan being asked by Bail Organa to rescue Leia, and he's like, yeah, well, I got this thing. I can't really. I gotta.
He's like, she's kidnapped.
In 10 years, I haven't done anything in 10 years.
Yeah,
I'm
and in
old.
some ways, I get the apprehension. You're right, Ronnie. Like, it's been 10 years, and
He's basically not been a Jedi for 10 years. He's been in hiding.
Right.
and-
cut himself off from the Force.
Yeah, he's just like an old man.
Yep. But then he gets a personal visit from the dad, and you couldn't say no.
Mhm.
So he accepts the role of going after Leia. They have a lead in a planet called Dayu, and so he gets out his metal detector and just for the next week starts scouring the desert to find
No,
the
he goes right
lightsabers.
to it.
Yeah, he
there's
asked
a
this guy.
shovel.
Yeah, buries it anywhere. Bury it anywhere. I'll find it if I
He
need
just
it.
goes right to the spot.
like
I'm
there's no
this desert
landmarks
hasn't
anywhere,
shifted in
like-
10
No.
years.
How the heck did he find
Yeah,
that?
and I love how he brings his little shovel out of his sleeve like it's a.
It's small as shovel. He's like, this is obviously
It's
the
like, oh,
exact
so we
spot.
put this together. He just screws it together. He digs it up. 5 seconds. He's got 2 lightsabers going, and I'm like, dang man, that was easy.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, you mean that desert hasn't shifted in 10 years? Like, that's all it does is blow sand all over the place.
It's
Yep.
only like 6
What if this
inches
was like
under
50
the sand.
feet under?
Nope, it's right there. If we look at the sequel trilogy, Rey was called by the lightsaber, so maybe there was some kind of
I did
lightsaber
notice
calling
there was 2
him.
lightsabers in there, though.
There were 2
Was it
lightsabers
2?
in there.
I thought there
I'm
was
pretty
only
sure.
one. It was just
I think
connected.
it
They
was
just
2
connected.
side by side.
I thought it was his and Anakin's.
Well, if you remember, he
Oh.
gives Luke later on, like in the
His
first
father's.
3 movies,
Yeah.
he gives him his father's lightsaber, so he
And he
would have
still
had to
has
keep
his.
it also.
Ooh, you're right. Yep.
Yep.
Good call.
So he gets the lightsabers. Well, he gets his lightsaber. And we know he gets his lightsaber because when he goes to the ship bus station, he flashes it for everyone
I
to
know.
see.
I was like, what are
So
you,
ridiculous.
Why are you wearing it?
I'm like- he's like, I'm trying to be incognito, but check this out, guys.
Look at this. Epic pause.
You might as well be wearing a
See what I
sheriff's
said?
badge.
Yeah, that was
I thought
funny.
the same thing too. I was like, man, you should have that in a backpack or something.
Like, what are you
probably.
doing, bro?
Goodness
Put it
gracious.
in your sleeve with the shovel. You can't see that.
No wonder they're finding all of you.
yeah, you're just
Hey guys,
Just
I'm
a
a
Jedi
Jedi.
here.
Worst
Nothing to
hiding
see.
ever.
Good thing there's no Jedi around.
They weren't teaching stealth at the Jedi Temple.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, so that's episode 1. We mean it, folks. We really did like the episode, but there were just
It was just some good parts to it. Yeah.
some parts that were just like, what is happening right now? And it's spoilers. Episode 2 has more of those parts. So
Yes, it does.
Let's get into it. It has great
There's
things going
There's
for
more Leia chase scenes where no one can catch her.
it. Don't get
Jesus,
ahead.
the
Come on.
fastest kid is just a flash, man.
Don't get ahead. Okay, we got to build up to this. Okay. So,
Seems like everybody's running, but nobody's catching anybody.
What the heck?
I want to see. Okay, we're already jumping ahead.
He can
I wanna
find
see
a
the
box
bird's
in the
eye
middle of
view.
a desert, and he
Yeah,
can't
dude.
find her.
Lucas, I
I
know where
wanna
you're going.
see-
I want to see
I
this too.
want to see the bird's eye view, the top-down view of how people were all chasing after her.
It's like 50 roofs everybody's running
They're
across.
like slow motion. It's like when you're pretend chasing a child that's clearly not going anywhere. You're just like, oh no, I can't catch you. Okay, but anyways, back to the beginning of the episode. So
Okay.
we get to Dayu, planet Dayu. Kenobi encounters a con man who's clearly not a Jedi, Haja Estri, who is pretty much,
It's a
just
swindler.
swindling people, exactly, taking their money. He was hilarious. I loved him as a con man, as a fake Jedi. Uses little magnet hands, and what did you guys think of this Jedi reveal when they said, "Oh, actually, you know what? Right before this, they revealed a homeless beggar clone trooper." What you guys think of Boba Fett jumping in there? I can't remember his actor's name. I wish Mark were here to remember that, but
I wish Mark were here.
Oh, and the girl that was trying to give him like spice and stuff like that, that was Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
she even made a comment like, "Oh yeah, I had a dad once," and it's like, "Ooh, burn." Your dad's right there, and you're already not claiming him. But yeah, so that was a cool
smoke of Kenobi.
Yeah, that was a cool little clone trooper moment. And then he, runs into Haja, and what'd you guys think of this little exchange? Kind of seeing him doing what he was doing.
Kumail's great in pretty much anything he does, and like he's a con man, but he's also a good man. So like he is the family that was there that wanted to get off the planet. He was like, "I'll get you off the planet, but it's gonna cost you, and I'm also a Jedi." Like he was very like,
it cost you $1 gazillion.
He's like, I'm a Jedi. Look
he's
at
like,
that.
for $1,000, I'll show you some little tricks. It's like, you don't know any tricks.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. So from there, he, Obi-Wan busts him and pretty much just, holds a blaster to his face and is like, "Tell me where I can find, kidnap people." And so he leads him to a place where pretty much Obi-Wan has to dress up like Walter White and go Breaking Bad inside of a little what we can only imagine is a spice meth lab or whatever. And causes a little chaos.
Can I mention though that like he could not look more like an old tattered Jedi in those robes though. Like why is he still wearing
He's the only
Jedi
one
robes?
that's wearing a Jedi robe.
I was looking around, I was like, maybe everybody's wearing robes. Like, no, they're not.
No,
like, he's a Jedi.
He's got the hood thing and he's got his arms put inside the sleeves.
He's either a Jedi or he stole those from a Jedi. There's only two options.
That's true. It's true. He wasn't and you think about it, he got that, that lab set up with the goggles. Like, what did he do with the dude that was wearing that? Like, did he knock him out? Like, is that good dude's like body somewhere? Like
one of those things where the arm just comes out, grabs him, pulls him in, and then he walks out in new clothes.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm sure with that being that, spice meth lab, that there's a guy that was just in there. Everyone was in there, like not even saying, "Who's this guy? Like, why is he?"
Some random guy walking around looking around.
Why is he wearing
Frank's
sure clothes?
It's high security, and only like the few personnel can be in there. They're like, well, I guess you're fine.
Nobody even looked up from their work. He's just walking around behind people.
They're working hard. But he, he blows something up, sneaks into the back, and he has a fight scene that I think was just perfect for someone who hadn't fought anyone in 10 years.
That first punch?
Yeah, the first punch, and he's just like, like he's just holding his hand. And,
I thought it was cool how they did that.
Yeah.
That he wasn't just like a superhero again automatically.
No,
right,
not at
right.
all.
Yeah,
not at
he
all.
was still getting back to it.
Yeah.
Yep. So he gets in there, defeats a couple of the goons, and then he finds a mannequin of not Leia, and it was a trap. It was a trap. Raw. Yeah. So as they had alluded to at the end of last episode, which we didn't mention, Reva had set this whole thing up, stolen Leia because she had found in the archives that Organa and Obi-Wan had a connection. They had fought together in the Clone Wars, and so she just said, "Hey, you know what? Jedi's going to be Jedi." And so her guess was right, and her trap worked. But thankfully, Obi-Wan was resourceful, and he used the spice he got from his daughter, his real life daughter. Tossed that down, made the guys,
they were like all giggling when she
giggly. Yeah, they were all very much high.
That was hilarious.
And so he ran off, and then found Leia, and of course she attacked him and was very suspicious of him. And
Smart.
and then and then from there they're walking through the streets and trying to be non-conspicuous.
Meanwhile,
You know,
she's just asking him every Jedi question.
yeah,
It's like,
and not doing it.
Shush,
It's like,
shush.
Make me
so
float
you're a
right now.
Jedi. Make me float. And does a little twirl. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm like, this is in a crowd. What are you doing?
Knock this kid out and put her in a potato sack. We
He's
gotta
never getting
get
off
moving. Yeah.
What do you got there? Nothing.
It's nobody. It's like when in the Sonic movie when he has Sonic in the bag, in the duffel bag. It's like, is that your child in there? Oh no, he's not my child. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So yeah, they're talking loudly in the streets, not being inconspicuous whatsoever. And then Riva and the Inquisitors get to the lab too late. And of course, Grand Inquisitor, who does nothing of his own choice, is very angry that Riva actually did something effectively, and he takes over. And then Riva calls all the mercenaries in the city to look for Obi-Wan, and from there he goes into incognito mode and puts his hood up because no one's going to notice him there. And
Mm-hmm.
That's like more of a Jedi with the hood on.
that's right. And then 5 minutes later, they're in an alley, and he takes the hoodie off, and it's like, "What are you doing, man? Why are you taking the hoodie down? You haven't left the planet."
It seems like it's a planet full of people that are absolutely oblivious as to what's going on.
Yeah,
That's correct.
I mean, the spice room. Yeah, everyone's looking down. No one's
Yeah.
paying attention to anything.
They got things to do. But I will say during this time, even though it's like loud talking, it's building a relationship between Leia
Yeah.
and I do appreciate that, because you feel like at the beginning of A New Hope, when Leia asks for Obi-Wan Kenobi's help, like, it's not just my dad talked about you one time. It was like she knew him.
Mhm.
You know, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. So I think it's genius that they're doing this, this kind of coming together of Obi-Wan and Leia as a child to build that relationship, so that then when we get to A New Hope again, when we watch it again someday or whatever, that relationship makes even more sense. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Overall. So from there, we get a Leia who was distrustful and was starting to believe in Obi-Wan, and then she sees the wanted,
Like the
headshot
bounty
of him,
hologram.
and is like, "You're the one that was trying to capture me. You're the one that set this all up." And then she bolts. Well, okay,
Gone.
she starts crawling really fast and and just somehow gets right by Obi-Wan. Like, there's
Now,
a couple times.
This
Go ahead.
this chase scene when she's like going through the market and going through all that, like, this is more believable because she's
Yeah,
like
'cause
going in
there's-
and out. Like, okay,
there's
yeah,
people blocking her.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
but
until
then
they get to the roof.
well, even in the market, when someone attacks Leia, Obi-Wan shoots him with his gun, and then literally Leia is within arm reach of Obi-Wan, and she just like kind of sidesteps, and he's like, I can't reach you, and she escapes his clutches, and then she goes to the roof. Yeah.
He really had an old man chasing his granddaughter around feel.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, I thought it was kind of a little overdone, her comments about him looking ragged and old. I'm like, he doesn't look that bad. She's like, "You're so old, you'd be my grandpa." And I'm
To
like,
a 3-year-old, yeah, he does look old.
I mean, I guess, but Leia's dad, Bail Organa, he's no spring chicken. Like, he looks
definitely
old
older.
too.
Yeah.
He looks older than Obi-Wan. So her saying, maybe my grandpa, like, not my dad, I was like, okay, you're exaggerating a little bit, I think, but I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's old and worn down. But yeah, so they go to the roofs. They're being chased, trying to escape. Obi-Wan's trying to catch this lightning speed child and getting shot at by droids and dinosaurs with guns. Riva sees, the thing that
meanwhile, Riva's on the
It's like
roof,
the
like
Dark
Batman.
Yeah.
Like, just like, and they shot it like she was Batman.
It was an
It
awesome
really did.
scene.
it
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like the
so-
most menacing thing, like just sitting up
Yeah.
there waiting.
Yeah, all the things that she did, perfect planning. And then Grand Inquisitor was just like the uncle that just ruins the party every time. And but yeah, so she goes flipping and jumping and is chasing Obi-Wan. And I thought at this point there was going to be a little more of a, like she was going to get there just in time, but they show her flipping and doing her thing. And then they go to Obi-Wan. And then we have a very, a really cool moment where, Leia jumps to try to go across from building to building, falls, is holding on to a cable. And Obi-Wan's like, just hold on. And she starts to fall. She can't hold on. And you could tell he doesn't say anything, but you can just see the struggle. I've got to use the Force. I can't use the Force, but I got to use the Force. And then he uses the Force. Yeah. Saves her. Really powerful moment.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that whole scene, all I could think about was Reva is barreling down on them because she in opposite scenes is just running across rooftops like as fast as possible. And when they showed like the scenes like of Obi-Wan getting fired at from other people on the rooftops, when she noticed them, I was like, whoa, she's only like 4 or 5 roofs away.
Right.
Yeah.
But turns out she had to scale 200 to get to that.
Yeah, pretty much. I think she did too many flips and then ran off too many walls. She was like, oh, wait, I was supposed to turn left there instead of right. Dang it. Like recalibrating the GPS. But yeah, so Obi-Wan saves Leia. And then immediately, like, I guess he just jumps from the roof because he is on her like, hey, well, here we are. Let's go. He's like, my daughter's even like, how did he get down there so fast?
He just casually walked around the corner.
Yeah, he couldn't catch the toddler running at a snail's pace, but he could get down from that roof like nobody's business. So yeah, so he reunites with Leia. She's like, oh, you are a Jedi. Okay, we can go now. It's just like, all right, well, I guess you're convinced. And then from there, they run into the hero of this episode, who we had already seen, old Haja.
Kumail, yeah.
Yep, Kumail. And he's like, hey, you're a Jedi. I'm going to help you. And, they go back and forth. And he helps him
unexpected, out. I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
Really? Well, really? I thought that was coming because I felt like he was a good guy, but just doing it for the wrong reasons. So him coming in and helping out.
Well, they do show a scene earlier where the boy that had led Obi-Wan to him originally said, hey, we need to get this guy. He's worth a lot of credits. And Kumail's like, let's go. He gets his gun and he said, let's go. So they were trying to lead you to believe he was going to try to get the reward or the bounty or whatever. So I could see that. But yeah, they have a talk and pretty much it's like, hey, you're our hope. We gotta work together. You're not alone. And I love that he reminded him, that he's not alone.
Yeah.
And so he gives him a little, car beeper or whatever and says, hey, go to this dock. Your escape is that way. I'll take care of the Inquisitor. And he doesn't take care of the Inquisitor
of course not.
whatsoever. Because but I love how he plays it off. Like he's just
he
like,
thought he was just going to talk her down.
Yeah, like fake her out. He's like, I'm the Jedi you're looking for, and you might not make it out of here.
Slams against the wall and just looks into his mind like, got it.
Yes, got it. See ya. Yeah. He's like, oh no, you don't have magnets. He makes some kind of comment like she doesn't have magnets. Like, yeah, no, she's the real deal, man. Yeah. So then it goes back to Obi-Wan and Leia. They're in the dock area. They're about to get on the ship, and Reva shows up, and she finally makes it and confronts Obi-Wan in a very cool scene, right? And we get the big
ever sees him.
No, she doesn't.
Just knows
she doesn't see him. She could just sense him, and she gives the classic lines like "Your fear betrays you" and those kind of things.
At first, she's like Kenobi, and I was like,
she's very like awesome. Creepy. Yeah, it was very like horror movie like. And then she reveals to him what I didn't realize, didn't think about him not knowing, is the big reveal that Vader / Anakin is still alive.
Well, yeah. I mean, he shut himself off from the Force. He wouldn't have felt him anyways.
Yeah.
So because of him shutting himself off from the Force. But then once he starts using the Force and then she mentions his name and then he realizes.
Oh, he feels it. Yeah.
And he feels it, which I'm like, oh, he just found out.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a overly like complicated scene, but his face like just really emoted.
Well, they showed the scene of Vader in
powerful
the tank,
emotions,
like, just opening his eyes.
In the back of the tank.
This is now
right at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
was awesome.
that was really cool. I can honestly, my first reaction was like, kind of like, okay, I can see it. My wife's, Mindy was kind of like, you tell me in the 10 years he didn't hear like news about a Darth Vader or a Vader of any kind from, the Tatooine Daily News or something.
I mean, from the way he lived his life, I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean,
He-
if his source of news was the dude that doesn't know how to cut meat, I guess I can see that.
My response would have been
Is an
like,
issue.
"Have you seen this place though? Like, this is a real outer rim type of place."
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I went back and forth for a little bit, but I can definitely see him not knowing it. And it was a powerful moment, like him
Yeah, it was
discovering it, like discovering it with me. It was almost like on the level of Stephen Grant finding out that he was a figment of Mark's imagination in Moon Knight. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like you're on the outside looking in. It's more shocking for them, but they portray the shock so well that it's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
For sure. So and during this part, Reva also takes out the Grand Inquisitor. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm like,
And,
oh no, he was in the trailer for the Jedi Survivor game. Oh no. I was like, well,
He
apparently
just ran him through.
he's
Dude.
dead.
Like, I wasn't expecting that. I
Yeah,
thought
I
they
was
not
probably would
expecting
fight though.
Yeah, I thought they were going to
Based on-
fight too.
Yeah,
And I don't even know what he was going to do. Like he put his hand out like he was going to do something with the Force. And she's just like just poked into his, soft, crunchy insides.
The Indiana Jones moment, just pull out the gun and shoot him.
I will say though, like
Yeah.
as soon as Kenobi like gets onto the ship and the door closes, the ship slowly takes off while she
Oh my
stands like a
gosh.
few feet away watching it. And I was like, "There's nothing she can do though. Like that's
Yeah.
it. That's
Like
checkmate."
grab onto it, cut that thing open. Got it.
We just saw like not that long ago, Rey and Kylo Ren literally like fighting over a ship in midair in the desert.
Exactly.
I mean, we also saw maybe Reva was tired from jumping on the rooftops. She couldn't
killing a
jump
guy.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why she was walking, slowly trying to find him in that little area.
And I was like, man, no
Catch
wonder
your
you
breath.
guys haven't tracked all the Jedi down yet. Like they're just getting away pretty easy. I feel
Getting away like Leia
like.
running away.
Nobody can catch anybody in this show.
You're all the worst at catching. Oh, geez. Yeah. So, and of course, Reva promises we're gonna get you next time, Gadget. Next time, pretty much like I'll get you, Obi-Wan next time. So, and then from there, as Patrick mentioned, we have Obi-Wan like with tears in his eyes, just saying Anakin, and all of a sudden cut to Anakin in the back of the tank.
Yeah.
His eyes open, and then a zoom out of his just disfigured body in the back of the tank, and you're like, oh man, what is going to happen next?
Let's go.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
This I will say, man, this show above all other any Marvel shows, any like Star Wars shows that have come out, like this one has me absolutely the most excited, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Jedi
man.
Jesus is
I mean,
back.
Coming off the heels
Jedi
of
Jesus.
the greatest Disney Plus show, Moon Knight, I mean, nothing can hold a candle to that.
Oh, come on now. Mark's not here to defend Moon Knight. That's a low blow.
It kind of was.
Yeah. No, I mean, just like with Moon Knight, we don't know what's going to happen. But unlike Moon Knight, we actually care to know what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, I
we're-
mean,
we're-
we all
we're
know
pumped to
that
find
he's
out.
Obi-Wan's not going to die. We know that. It's just a story of this.
How
you
close
know?
is he
Yeah.
going to come to dying? Basically, is what we're going to find out.
Yeah, I want to know
There's
how
no way
close it's going to come to
he's
them
facing
meeting.
off.
Yeah,
He's facing off with some people for sure.
for sure. Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. They in this second episode, he holds the lightsaber up and like he two hands it. It's like, oh, is he going to light it up? He can't.
So,
Can he?
How old was Luke Skywalker in A New Hope?
He was 18 or 19,
18.
I think.
So hold on, everyone's calling him Obi-Wan right now, and in A New Hope, he's like, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like, I have not heard that name in a long time. It's like it's been 8 years at the most.
Now, granted, he did try to tell people his name's Ben. He kept insisting, and
He ages
nobody
like
listened.
30 years in that time also.
Maybe, yeah, just something happens that ages him that, that causes him to go in like even more hiding. Like he
I don't
lives
know,
off
yeah.
of, I don't know.
You saw how fast Emperor Palpatine goes from being a normal guy to being a disfigured guy.
Hooded
So,
booger face.
I mean,
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe he gets hit by lightning or something. And
To be fair, he was a ghoulish regular guy. Though.
He was.
Kinda, yeah.
He was.
True.
It didn't take that much.
True.
It didn't take that much. But yeah, I'm really fascinated to see where it goes. I can't see that they're not gonna like actually have them face each other, are they? Like they're just gonna be close.
I feel like it would be a letdown if they don't face off at least one time.
But then again, it makes A New Hope just silly, like where Darth Vader's like, the last time we saw each other, I was just the learner. Now I am the master. It's like, if they see each other in the show, then it's going to be like, we saw each other 8 years ago and I was learner Vader and now I'm Lord Vader. I don't know. It's maybe this, they're both going to get amnesia and they're just going to forget somehow. They'll find a way to work around it. I really do want to see them fight though. So maybe they'll do like a Force stream and they'll encounter each other.
No, that'd be stupid.
The Force.
Don't do that.
I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out
Yep.
now. Don't be.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is
be a
brainstorming
meanie
session.
face.
So
That's
there's not any
brainstorming.
no bad ideas.
All right.
Stupid questions here.
That's right. All right. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
No.
Any more?
Looking forward to it. I'm really excited every week. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man.
Same.
For sure. Same here as well. All right. Well, that is all for our little chat about Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 1 and 2, part 1 and 2. Besides that, we do, of course, have our GMG GOATs, Good Morning Guys, Greatest of All Time shows, where we nominate and vote for the top 40 series or shows, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to pick and reveal around episode 200. Hope you guys are prepared because I didn't say anything about it.
I'm not.
We will not start with Ronnie. Patrick, do you have a show you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Saved by the Bell.
Ooh, nice.
I used American Pickers last time, didn't I?
You did.
Okay. I would like to use The Curse of Oak Island this time.
Oh, I had a
that's a
feeling
good
that
one.
that's one of the first shows you talked about on the Good Morning Guys. I remember back in the
Even
day.
though I'm not as excited about the next season as
No.
every time they don't find something, it just dwindles a little bit for me.
Yeah.
And they beat me down over like 9 seasons now. So
Yeah, it's like, is it a curse though?
I'm
Is
at an
it really?
all-time low.
But still, yeah. That's a good pick. I need to.
Yeah.
I used to watch those shows. I need to get back into that. It's good stuff. My show is gonna be Planet Earth, pretty much the show that
That's a
showed
great
me
show.
that high definition is better than real life. It's the way it is. Like just the things they accomplished on that, not just the high definition, but if you've watched the documentaries or heard about, background information, like there are people that spent years filming and in the wilderness capturing all this footage, and then they made this TV show that was just helping you see stuff about animals and nature that no one had ever seen before.
Yeah, stuff that you would never see.
No.
In person.
Oh, there's just so many cool episodes and cool things about that show. So
Mhm.
that is my pick.
Nice.
And unfortunately, we didn't get Mark's pick, so he's going to give a 2 next week,
Okay.
which I'm sure he'll be ready. So it'll be all good.
All right.
As is tradition, some housekeeping, where we offer you towels, fluff pillows, topped with Andy's candies, and tip you off to the GMG news you need to know. The GMG stream team continues to offer content Sunday to Saturday on Twitch. Chris is currently playing through Ratchet and Clank, the OG for GMG VGBC, our book club, during the butt crack of weekday dawns. And then on Saturdays, he's playing Destiny 2 with me still. We're enjoying that. You can check out Marc on Saturdays. He's continuing to play through the Zelda games, continue to plug it away with old Majora's Mask. And then as for me, you can check me out most either breakfast or lunch times on Monday to Friday as I continue to play roguelikes, lights, and GMG VGBC games. As you know, you can feel free to check all 3 of us out on twitch.tv. Links are in the show notes. But if streaming's not your thing, you'd rather tweet with us on Twitter, discourse on Discord, you can find the links in the show notes to those as well. If you want to throw a buck or more in the old tip jar, consider supporting us on Patreon at the URL that you can click in the show notes. But if you can't toss a coin to your podcasters, but are still willing to give, you can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Spotify. And that helps us to reach new joiners, whether you want to give us stars, exclamation marks, feedback, or an encouraging word. You can let your voice be heard. Speaking of what should be heard, 929 GMG guys. Give it a call sometime, leave a message, and we may or may not play it. Yeah. So with that, we are not going to wrap up the show. Because I have joiner comments and questions that I remembered right at the last second.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey-o. All right. Lord of Mustache Zukor had this to say about Obi-Wan. It's like, I'm glad he got off of Tatooine in the second episode. If there's one planet I don't need more of in the current Star Wars universe, it's Tatooine. The planet that Leia got taken to felt like a mix between Tartuga and Nowhere. I like that take.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
No, you're so right, Nate. As we had said earlier, and I probably should have mentioned your comment then. It's my bad. But yeah, Tatooine, I'm so over Tatooine. It's such a drab planet. We need to move on. Social media Sinner said, I just wanted to know how you can find a box in the desert, but have trouble finding a kid in the market.
Exactly. 100% exactly.
Yep. You're so right. We got
So
nothing.
right.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. Those kids, they're slippery. I mean, I got
slippery kids.
You just never know. They're just bob and weave doing the serpentine pattern. You just never know what's going to happen. And then finally, you done messed up. Ron said, I'm loving it so far. They filled several blanks in the Star Wars narrative in such a relatively short span of time. I've seen Leia's characterization get a little bit of flack on the internet. And I'm convinced they're all people that somehow didn't watch the original trilogy, because it makes perfect sense. It's exactly how a kid with the willful nature we saw from Leia as an adult, but none of the maturity would act. Her actress is amazing, by the way. We couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reva has the potential to be a very interesting character in the context of this story. And I think I know the direction they're going to, but I'm also a little bit scared they're going to chicken out, which would be a huge, unfortunate waste. I also have a theory about Leia based on these first couple of episodes, but I'm going to wait and see things play out on that as well. So you're not going to tell us anything, Aaron. You're just going to tease us. What's that all about, man? What were you going to say, Patrick? You went.
I don't know. I feel like we were talking about Obi-Wan and Darth Vader kind of like not meeting because of the original trilogy. I wonder if there's going to be an in between, and that might be Reva.
It's got to be, right?
He has to at least fight Reva.
Oh, they're going to show down. They're going to throw down
at least
for sure.
To happen.
And my guess is she's going to reveal that she feels abandoned. She was one of the younglings that got ditched. That wasn't, that escaped, but she blames, through being a part of the sister and brother Inquisitor group. Like they twist all your emotions. They turn it to the dark side, and pretty much your fears and your anger, all of that gets turned toward hate. And she's going to be sharing and revealing what's going down. My guess is it's Jedi Temple, but maybe it'll be something different.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. She doesn't act like any of the other Inquisitors. So
they made the comment that she came from the gutter, and I don't know. It could have been after the temple fall, all those kids that
hiding in the street.
Yeah.
In which I think in episode 2, Obi-Wan does say, the Inquisitors are just Jedi that got twisted and turned towards the dark side, and now they're hunting themselves. They're hunting their own kind.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Alrighty then, Pat, Ronnie J, and of course the spirit of Marc Touche Boucher, along with you, our beloved friends, family, and joiners. Go get your good morning this week, and may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you game.